Hello everybody, and welcome back to another Path of Exile tutorial. So, new league. It's been out for about 2 weeks now. I have gotten to play it off and on as real life has been a little bit restrictive due to moving, but overall I think it's a pretty good league. Boat League, Calandra League 2.0. A lot of people like to call it a lot of things. Now, today's video, we're not going to be talking about the league mechanic, that is for a different video. Instead, we're going to be talking about an older mechanic, one that has not been receiving very much love since it was nerfed not too long ago, and that is ultimatum. Now, ultimatum used to be, for very specific builds, an unbelievable money printer. It was effectively completely safe, immune to all mods, damage, resilience from the enemies. You could do anything and everything, and it was very cheap to do it. And then GGG came in with their no fun hammer. Rightly so, to be honest. It was kind of busted. When they did that, they made it so taking the gruelling gauntlet node became a death sentence if you got certain mods, as you could no longer just avoid mods that bricked your build, and it made it so that there was now one new mod that would brick the majority of builds that tried to do it. That mod, of course, being you cannot block. Not just simply nerfing your block chance, but you cannot block. So I have been experimenting and playing with this tree where I have ultimatum and I have the Settlers of Calgar stuff with some blue altars just for a little extra. I of course also have the stability for astrolabes and as much of the increased map effect modifier as I can get. With that all being said, I have been running over here in the lower left-hand corner, mostly because of the extra stuff that you can get for the Eldritch Altars, but also because I just straight up have not done some of these things yet. I have not done Maven. I have done the Voidstone up here for the quest line, Grief and Dread and whatever their name is, the irrelevant ones, but the only thing you can really get from here is exceptional support gems and astrolabes from completing the bosses, and we don't even necessarily complete the map bosses. It's a good region to consider if you've got a good map that you like to run or that has a good layout, like say Strand, but otherwise meh. I also have not yet defeated the Elder and the Shaper, so keep that in mind when you see the video that I am missing 2 of my Voidstones and potentially all the Nightmare maps and other fun stuff. But, with that being said, let's go check out one of the maps. Now, I went ahead and cleared my way to this map, to the ultimatum, but did nothing else. I am currently running it on a 8 mod map, like this. I have 220% quant, thanks to all the map effect and all that good stuff. I also have a scarab in that causes it to always give me catalysts. This is huge. Always giving catalysts is very important. Do recommend. If you have a second account and a second computer and you like to have a little bit of fun in Gamba, you can bring them in as well and get yourself some extra rewards that won't be catalysts, but that's a little bit advanced for most players. Now, the mods that I do, I use a regex to remove certain things like reduce block chance, cannot regenerate life, and mods that I find annoying. Really, that's it though. Like, cannot regenerate or gain life, and cannot block are the only 2 that I feel are actually deadly to you, especially the block nodes. Now, in the ultimatum, we have 2 scarabs of bribing, which I will show once we leave the map. We have 1 scarab of catalyzing, so that every reward wave gives catalyst, and then I just threw in 2 sack fragments in order to get 10% extra quant to increase the number of catalysts you get. A lot of people who do ultimatum do not know the higher the quantity in the map, that means quantity from sack frags, quantity from your map device, quantity because of the increased effect of explicits, and most importantly, quantity from your Eldritch altars, the higher the number of catalysts in a stack that you will get. Allegedly, this also influences the types of inscribed ultimatums you get if you do the inscribed farm. I do not confirm that. I do not know that to be true. It's just what they say. So we're going to go ahead and run here. This one, like I said, is just a kill all the things map. And we are using gruelling gauntlet so that we can't even see when things show up. Oh, okay, there it goes. Game froze up. Now, I am, as I mentioned, playing a block glad. So, as you can see here, I have, thanks to my flasks, 83 all res and 76 chaos res with a 78% chance to block attacks, 80% chance to block spells. However, due to the fact that I am using Azadi's Crest and I am a gladiator, I am actually tripling these because I get lucky and then it rolls that luck 3 times. This gives me effectively a 20% chance of a 20% chance of a 20% chance to be hit. Sort of. So, we just ignore everything. We very rarely get any damage. This is actually because we are blood magic. When we do take damage, you see that we lose our ward layer. This is really important because one of the other skills that we are currently using is cast on ward break support linked to an immortal call. This is very powerful, especially when combined with Ralakesh and the ability to gain endurance charges like you see here, as it allows me to permanently have my endurance charges up, and when I do take damage, it breaks my ward, triggers my immortal call, which if I have 5 endurance charges up, will last for about 5 seconds. Or 4 and change seconds, I should say. This is long enough that my ward will come back up. I will be blocking again, of course. Oh, and here I'm standing on a degen. I should probably not do that. Degen can still kill me if I'm not paying attention. I do not have enough life gain yet because I do not have a proper Watcher's Eye, and I do not have the levels. I need 3 more levels to actually get the nodes that make it so that I can avoid the ground effects. All of my life gain is gained by damage on hit, so just something to keep in mind. Where is this guy? Here he is. We'll wait till the next selection, and then we'll tell you some more. There we go. Okay, so Immortal Call, more duration, cast on Ward Break, Tempest Shield. Over here we have Purifying Flames of Revelation, linked to a cast when stunned support and an Enfeeble Curse. This has a almost 100% chance to trigger, meaning that anytime we get stunned, which is every hit, thanks to us using a Valerium Ring, we cast this, which leaves behind the wonderful Consecrated Ground effect, giving us reduced effective curses and some life regen. Additionally, thanks to this ring, we are effectively curse immune. This will be changed out once we afford a Mage Blood, but for now, this is what we're doing. We are using a cheap-ass Cloak of Flame. We are using a Stygian Vice with some resistances, life, and life regeneration. Same with this jewel here. We've got some phasing and cooldown recovery rate. The cooldown recovery rate is, if I remember correctly, I need a total of 4% for 1 breakpoint on something, and I don't really care about it that much because I'm not doing the bosses. In my shield, I have an Eternal Blessing linked to Malevolence, and then finally a Righteous Fire. This is actually mostly here for just the Vol RF. The regular RF is okay, as long as you are standing on your consecrated ground. You can turn on RF for that wonderful more spell damage. It will give you more damage, but at the moment at least, until I can get myself up to the 90% fire res, 90% all res, I don't use it very often, only maybe in the later waves where I need more damage, or if I'm doing simulacrums. More on that later. In the helmet, we have Cremation of the Volcano, Essence Drain, and Firestorm of Pelting, all linked to a cast when stunned support. Now, I am actually going to flip these around, I believe. Nope, never mind. No, I'm not. This only has a 90% chance to trigger. I need to get that higher, and I don't remember why it's not. Oh, it's because I'm in a red socket. I need to have it in a blue socket. So I need to fix that eventually. The helmet's just a chaos resistance, life regeneration, and life helmet that I slapped some other stuff on. The Eldritch implicits are useful. Increased duration is useful. It makes me do more, or my poisons last longer. Yes, poison. It also makes my despair curse better. In my chest piece, cast one stun support with a 100% chance to trigger thanks to the blue socket buff. Unbound Ailments, and then Detonate Dead of Scavenging is our primary damage link. Thanks to the socket color change giving 10% quality, and the additional 30% that I'm getting from my Ashes of the Stars, this has a 60% quality, giving you 45% of corpse max life as damage. Yes, you do less damage with ailments. No, that doesn't matter, because this is a triggered spell, along with all this other stuff. And the cool thing about triggered spells is this weapon here, the Festering Resentment Demon Dagger. It states that you will trigger a socketed spell whenever you block with a 0.25 cooldown. We have Despair, Contagion of Transference, and Withering Step in this. That means every time I block, which is basically every millisecond from something hitting me, I will trigger Despair, Transference, Withering Step. And then once Withering Step triggers, it cannot trigger again for a time, so it'll just go back and forth between Despair and Contagion of Transference. The Contagion of Transference will take the Essence Drain that I apply to a random enemy near me and apply it to all the enemies near me. But then, because they are being hit by the firestorm of pelting, cremation, etc., the Contagion of Transference will then cast outward from me like an explosion proliferation, hitting all of the enemies. Now, you might be wondering, okay, that's a neat trick, but where's the damage? Well, Festering Resentment also has the fantastic line, all damage with triggered spells can poison, and triggered spells poison on hit. This actually means if you are triggering your ability, your spell, it will poison the enemy with a 100% chance to poison, and it is regardless of the damage type. So, these Detonate Deads of Scavenging do 45% max life and put a poison on the target equal to 45% max life as the hit. This is how we are doing all of our damage, killing all these monsters. Pelting does a lot of damage. The cremation doesn't do a lot of damage, but it does a little bit of damage really rapidly. And then, of course, the Essence Drain, which you see here, I'm regenerating. These are all instances of Essence Drain that have been spread thanks to Contagion. Very, very, very useful in order to actually build up some regeneration to survive nasty ground effects and stuff like that. Now, eventually, I am going to put a jewel in for the stun reduction that you do usually use with the blood notch setup. However, since blocking a hit prevents you from taking the damage, it also prevents the blood notch setup from giving you the health from a stunning hit. This is something that a lot of people do not understand. They make the mistake of going blood notch, thinking, oh, they're going to recover 40% of the stunned hit. No, they are not. They are going to take that stun, have a wasted jewel slot, and it is not going to do a thing. So do keep this in mind, that you need to make sure you have other sources of recovery and not just to simply rely on blood notch, petrified blood, things like that. So in my case, I have life gain on hit and life gain on block. That is not a lot of life gain. I have, I think, in total 30 or 25 life gain. Where is it here? It is right here. I have 29 life on hit while affected by vitality, which of course I am. I have a little bit of life regen from the vitality, and then I have 20 life and mana gain on block, which of course doesn't do any good for me, and is something that will be replaced with better things when I am able to do so. That will be in a couple levels once I unlock. I think I need 3 more levels if I remember correctly, 97. Once I get to 97, which is fairly easy considering you never die, you only fail usually due to ruin, or not paying attention and having like a ton of these degen effects that will slowly kill you. Yeah, so the aggressive Shade Ruin guy is dangerous, but with 90%, 99% spell block, and I think it's 97% attack block, he usually does not apply his Ruin to you. It can happen, and if it starts to be a problem where you are having Ruin applied by attacks and not simply by spells, because you have like the higher tier version of the Ruin Stalker, you can switch out your Ashes Amulet for a Anvil. That'll give you an extra 3% maximum attack block, and that will put you basically at the 99 threshold. So just keep that in mind if you decide to try and play a Block Glad. The Anvil can be very useful for that. This is not a very fast. This is not a very fast build, as you can see, but it does have the advantage that it can do almost anything mod-wise. We do have to run the risk here of these monsters walking out of the circle, but there we go. We completed it, and look at that. Hey! And yes, we are doing it on Cemetery when we can, because Brother's Gift. But look at this. This is where your stable money is. Now, I got unlucky here. I did not get a single stack. Oop. Let's see. We'll throw those away. Throw away the Scarab for now. We'll come back for them maybe, if we feel like it. But I did not get a single stack of, in all of these, of the Catalyst, the Prismatic Catalysts. This was from the first one that I did. I have done a couple of them since. But that's it. This is literally it. So we're gonna go ahead and drop some of this stuff off. Alright, drop all this off. We'll turn those in. So we have 277 intrinsic catalysts in our inventory, 119 noxious catalysts, 158 abrasive, 184 turbulent, 132 imbued, 25 tempering, 45 unstable, and 24 prismatic, with none of the other ones. Nice little 5 div, drop that off. Cool. So, real quick, we're going to go over the tree because this does matter a little bit. A lot of people also get confused when looking at this. They don't understand. So, we are tattooing over every single attribute. The reason we can do this is, as I've pointed out in some of my older videos, Supreme Ostentation is an absolute gem. This is gained from a Elegant Hubris jewel that is denoted or commemorating Caspero. You don't need a specific role to get the Supreme Ostentation. However, you want a specific role if you are trying to do this build. What you want is you want chance to block spell damage on these 2 nodes here and on one of these nodes here. One of these 4 nodes. I only have 1 chance to block spell damage. This is giving me chaos resist. This is giving me spell damage, which increases the damage of my essence drain and all that stuff because it converts. I have a flask effect duration node here, which is pointless and I will be getting rid of. My second spell block is here, costing me 2 points instead of 1. This is not good. I do not want this, but if you cannot get one of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, to be 2 spell damage, block spell damage nodes, this 7th node here can be very good. If you still are getting unlucky and can't afford one of the better ones, then I would recommend taking this node, or this node as a block chance node, and this node. These cost 3 points each. They're incredibly expensive. I'm sorry, not this node. This node you get for free. But these 3 nodes are expensive to do, but worth it. Absolutely worth it. Next up, we have over here, enemies poisoned by you have 10% of fizz damage converted to chaos. This stacks very nicely with our Cloak of Flame. So effectively, 50% of the physical damage that we take, it's not literally that, but effectively that, doesn't happen, meaning we don't have to really worry about physical damage. Of course, because we are taking elemental damage, we have really high elemental resistances. We have 5 endurance charges, giving us 20 phys damage reduction and 20 elemental damage reduction at all time because of Ralakesh. This always gives it to us. We are immune to corrupted blood. We have +1 to the level of all non-exceptional support gems. This is huge. Combined with the quality bonus that we now get, this means we don't need to have level 2120 cast when stuns in order to get the maximum 100% chance. It is nice, but we no longer need it. So just keep that in mind to get 100% chance. Let's see here. Oh, the tattoos. So I am using chance to avoid bleeding tattoos. I'm using 10 of these. This is how I'm getting my bleed immunity. I may as well. It's a decent way to do it. I am using a, let's see, where is it? Over here. I am using percent increased fire damage. This will increase the damage of the DD of scavenging, the cremation, and the fire pelting, firestorm of pelting, which means that you'll just hit them a little bit more consistently, kill the little weak mobs quicker, kill the weak mobs, which then you can detonate with detonate dead, and so on. I'm using that for all the remaining red tattoos. For my blue tattoos, I'm doing the same with increased chaos. Poison damage is our primary damage source after the detonate deads, so it's worth it for me to use those. I do need to get 2 more, as I did just pick up these 2 points here, but we'll do that later. I am using Elemental Overload. Due to the rapid nature of these attacks, the Detonate Dead, Firestorm, and the Cremation, you're critting a lot. And when you crit, you don't do anything extra with those crits. But that's okay, because now you've just gained a generic 40% more elemental damage with both the hit and the poison, because it is an ailment from that elemental damage. So, fun fact, your damage goes up by 40% when you crit for that spell, and you double dip, increasing the ailment by 40%. The Cluster Jewel, just a generic Chaos Cluster Jewel. We have hindering enemies to make them slower, and then they take extra damage. We have Chaos damage with skill effect duration. Very generic stuff. 2 Megalomaniacs. These are important. Do get them. You have Rote Reinforcement. This is additionally a chance to gain a endurance charge when you block. This is how I'm getting my 5 endurance charges for free. A little bit of life on it. Disease Vector. Poisoned enemies, aka all enemies, cannot regenerate life. This is very important too for dealing with certain enemies. And it gives me a little bit of dot multi because this is a dagger. So, free dot multi. Very nice. Anti-Venom. Chaos Max Res. Very nice. Avoid being poisoned. Doesn't matter very much, but hey, it's free. Chaos Resistance. Very nice. Flat Life, Max Life. Need I say more? All LE Res and LE Damage. Again, we do LE damage. We care about the res. These are nice. These are not cheap to get, but they're nice. We, of course, have block wheels with chance to maximum chance to block spell damage. We do not take the attack one. We will not take the attack one until we get a very GG jewel that has an additional 2 spell block nodes in here. Then we can drop the chance to block spell damage per attack block, and we can take either the life gain on block, or more likely we'll take the 2% to block attack damage. And then finally, of course, we have a massive Thread of Hope, which for just 2 skill points of opportunity cost, one of which we would have taken anyway to get this endurance charge, we can take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nodes on our tree for a single point. You can also technically take this one right here for more damage, but it doesn't really matter. And then if you're using shield charge or something like that, you can take the attack speed one. Our movement skill normally is Whirling Blades, but since I'm doing ultimatum, I am not even using a movement skill. Now, as I mentioned before, when I get a GG Jewel, which I do not have yet, I will drop these 2 points. I will have these 2 points be block, 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 block. I will take the cluster jewel that is right here, and we will build out one more large cluster jewel with no mediums, but with one megalomaniac, and then we will put a standard jewel for the 900 and whatever percent block or stun recovery, stun and block recovery. That way, even though we are getting stunned and taking blocking hits, we ignore the animation stutter and continue to move around normally in ultimatums. I have found from experience that to be quite nice. And then finally, since I didn't touch on it yet, over here we have the Light of Meaning giving us percent increased chaos damage, and we have the Unnatural Instinct. The Unnatural Instinct, as you can see here, is giving us a ton of useful things. It is giving us a ton of chaos damage, 126%, because all of these nodes, which are not allocated, are giving percent increased chaos damage. So 126% increased chaos damage, and then we're getting a bunch of life, area of effect, skill effect area of effect, uh, skill effect duration, all that good stuff. Very, very useful jewel placement and very powerful effect from it. So keep that in mind. We do lose out on this tattoo here, so I had to pick up another one somewhere, I believe, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, maybe I guess. Oh, yeah, here it is. Over here. I had to pick up one more because this one was being wiped out by that. But anyway, so that's the build in a nutshell, and that's what we are doing with it. Now, profit, money gained. How are we doing? Well, we're not doing bad. Not doing bad at all. So we're going to just take these 24 catalysts here, and we're going to go ahead and do this. This one stack of 24, which was actually a 12 stack in a map that doubled, is 1,000 chaos. Or, to put it in divine terms, it's basically 4 div plus. It's actually closer to 5 div, but it is actually 5 div. Anyway, it's 5 divine worth of chaos for this one stack. That's pretty good. All the rest of these sell pretty decently as well. If we swap out the prismatic for this, and we say we have 560 of them for chaos, that's another 4 or 5 div, whatever. So it's pretty good money to sell prismatics, intrinsics, fertile, which I somehow have not gotten a single fertile in all of these. Most of the rest of these, I'm kind of lazy, but I like to gamble. So I will take all of these stacks and I'll just vendor them to a trader sometimes to try and get more prismatics and fertiles. At the moment, the way prices are in this league, as you can see here, these are 1.5C. They're 1.8 for sell. It is actually worthwhile for almost all of these to just, well, okay, maybe not noxious, but well, even for noxious, it's worthwhile to just list them as a buy price. So this is 1.75 chaos per. Put it for 1.5. You know, you got 300 of them listed for 200 chaos. But if you don't want to do that, if you're feeling kind of lazy, just vendor them all. Nice and easy. So that's about it. As I have mentioned, I have currently ran 7 maps of the 20 in this set. I have gained 1 Brother's Gift. One of the previous Astrolabe, which is why I didn't include it, the ending reward of the Astrolabe was 3 Divine. I started this out with an empty Divine stash. This is all rewards that I have gained from doing this. I had to vendor, of course, or sell the inventory of catalysts from the earlier catalysts. So, yeah, it's a pretty good strategy. Really good experience. It's very lazy, so you can watch YouTube, do other stuff. Gruelling Gauntlet, as long as you are completing 4 out of every 5 grueling gauntlets, you are money ahead. If you get a grueling gauntlet and you get the node as your very first node that says you cannot block, well, that map's bricked, go to the next one. No big deal, right? If you get to wave 13, though, and you get cannot block, well, then it doesn't matter because you've got 12 waves from that. So you are complete, you are done. So you take your rewards and you leave. So that's all I got for you guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.